Hey, everybody, just making sure we're all good on YouTube and Facebook. Be right with ya. Alrighty. Okay, looks like we already got Ray with us. To anybody joining us in the audience, oh gosh, sorry. Happy Wine Wednesday! Hope your Wednesday is going fabulously. If you have any seahorse topics or reef topics you want to chat about, please join us. Ask away in the comments, or I will put the link in the description or in the comments, I'm sorry, in case anybody does want to join. Here you go. Voila. And you may join at your leisure or just ask questions in the comments. But happy Wine Wednesday! I'm sipping on some Menage a Trois. It's not a Merlot, it's a Merlot Zinfandel blend. It's fabulous. I love it. And I'm having a good Wine Wednesday. Hope you are too. Ray, how you doing? Can Ray not hear me? Can anybody hear me? Oh, let's check. I was trying to do the sound.
I just muted it until I can get these Facebook and things muted.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Be like that.
Okay, go right ahead. Well, guys, I didn't have a super fantastic topic this week because it's my girl's birthday week and they're 13. And just to let y'all know, that means it's a full week birthday. So it's never ending. Like every day's their day. Please let me know what to do with these girls. Goodness, I've got twin girls turning 13. I'm like, pshoo, for real. So, anyhow, it's been a busy week. Busy. I've been, doing Seahorse stuff, of course, but it's been really focused on the girls. So, we're just going to have an open chat. Anything you guys want to talk about, or Ray, or anybody who joins, anything you guys want to talk about, or I'll ramble for, a little bit as per
At
usual.
least you only got one set of twins.
This is true. Actually,
I have twin brothers and I have twin sisters.
you have twin brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Wow. And how like were they all fraternal, identical? What?
Yeah, fraternal.
Really?
They don't look the same. Like my brothers, one is I think 6'1", the other one was 5'9".
Wow. I'm telling.
And
Go ahead.
actually, the girls were the same way too. One's much taller than the other one.
But so they had a pair of boys and a pair of girls that just weren't identical.
Yeah.
Wow. Now I've got this doesn't run in my family, you guys, but my ex-husband, whom the twins' father, actually has another set of twins himself. So I think that must, be some potent stuff, if you know what I mean. Sorry, this is child friendly, but apparently
There's
what I
never been twins in our family anywhere on either side until the boys were born.
really.
And my my dad's mother had told mom that she was going to have twins, and she told the doctor what grandma had said, and doctor says there's no way. Well,
Wow.
they ended up way.
there was
And
there was a
many
way.
years later, when she was expecting again, well, this was after some others too, but when my grandmother told her again that she was going to have twins, she told the doctor, no way. And back then, we didn't have hospitalization like a Medicare thing.
Right.
We, like you down the states there, back then we had to pay for things. Um, Now we don't, but back then, doctor said there's no way. But so if there was another one, he says I could pay for it. Well, he paid for it. Now
Right.
we don't have the problem because you have a baby, you go to the hospital and come out, you don't pay anything.
Right. I can't even imagine the paying for it thing. That would be absolutely terrible. But
I'll
yeah.
tell you, I went through 4 years of chemo and radiation and everything from my wife when she was dying of cancer,
Right.
and all the things that are expensed in there. In that 4 years, we put out not quite $1,500 for one special thing that was a special shot of needles for bone density.
Sure.
That's the only thing that wasn't covered.
Wow. Now
All
it's,
the medications, all the treatments, everything is all covered under our hospitalization plan.
and now, well, you're in Canada though, so that's
Yeah,
diff.
but see, the thing is, before that, we had people didn't uh, have too many hospital plans, medical plans like you have in the States there.
Mm,
But when we did have them, they were like we just couldn't afford them. Like
right.
with my family, with 7 kids in the family, my dad couldn't afford them. And so then when it come along, our taxes go up a little bit, but the people that were paying enormous sums for their hospitalization and drug plan, well,
Prescription
uh,
plans. Right.
prescription, well, mainly it, like going to the doctor and going to the hospital, operations and all that kind of thing. Um, if you were paying for a plan for that, now your taxes went up a little bit, but it wasn't anywhere near what it was
Right.
costing you to pay for those plans.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, Ray, because that's a hot topic right now in the U.S. Because we're coming upon election time, and that's definitely not where I want to go tonight, guys. But the
Yeah. I don't want to
specifically
say that it's
focus.
all rosy.
What?
Like, I don't want to say that it's all rosy. Like we complain up here all the time, even though that we have all those things.
Actually,
But
I'm glad you brought it up because I'm really curious because I'm in a situation, and I've got many people that I know that are in situations where my state, the state of Indiana, has specialized plans for people with children. Okay, and I'm not married to my current significant other, so I still am able to get those, even though I make decent money, not great money, lower middle class. But my point being, I definitely would be really in trouble if it weren't for those helpful plans. I'm not talking Medicaid people. I'm just talking, the HIP and etc. If you're in Indiana, you know what I'm talking about. And anyhow, I we looked at if I married my significant other, what we'd be looking at for insurance, and it was undoable. Like, you know,
yeah,
I'm working on some things on my end as far as a different career path, and if that occurs, then I would be out of the limit for HIP, and of course we'd figure it out because we'd have more money. But it is pretty outrageous for any kind of family. Single it's different, but families insurance is outrageous. So I'm curious, Ray. One of the things that I hear that is a big problem with like raising the taxes and everybody gets the same care. People with money don't like that because they don't want to lose their plans, and even people like me at this point don't want to lose my plan. So I'm curious. Do you have long waits? That's the main thing
yes,
I hear.
we have longer waits than what you do down there. But the
Okay.
thing is that down there, you have all sorts of people that go through bankruptcy because of medical bills. You have all sorts of people that die and put up with sickness because they can't afford to go to the doctor. They can't afford to make their plans. Here,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter.
Right.
Uh, there are there are certain limitations, and from province to province, there are some differences, and nothing is perfect. But as far as would I want to live in the States and uh, be under the healthcare system there? No way.
Hmm.
I lived that way when I was young,
Yeah.
and I don't want to go back to it.
Well, I just can't imagine. And I wanted to say, hi, Cruz. So glad to see you. Haven't seen you in forever. If we are totally talking off topic at this point, that happens. It's Wine Wednesday. But if you have
I don't
anything you
believe
want,
that.
if you have, Cruz, if you have anything you want to share, jump in or bring up a topic. We'd be happy to chat about it. When I was telling them at the beginning that this is my girl's birthday week, so I didn't really have anything planned for tonight. We're just chatting. We will talk seahorses and reef at some point, but we were talking medical care. So yeah, feel free to bring up any topic or join if you want to share something. But we're just glad to see you. Hello, and yeah, I just it. Ray, I don't know the answer. I really don't. I
Well, I
hate
think
even.
in the States I think your problem is the timing, the way things are now in society, different from when it came into Canada. Things were a lot slower, didn't have the social media to put out all the crap,
Right.
the the false stuff, and so I think you'll end up there sometime as younger people get on, because it's the younger people there that are more in favor of it right now.
Sure.
The middle-aged people and the older people don't want to make change because, like people in my age bracket, were really afraid of change, even though we won't admit it. We're,
Well,
we're
sometimes
really
change
afraid of
can be
change.
bad.
But
Um,
if you've lived with what you have, and say you're a person that can't afford the plan, and it's working for you, then you don't want to change because you fear that you're going to end up worse off.
I do agree.
And
It's just that Medicaid for all truly scares me because it sounds fantastic. I mean, free college, all that stuff sounds absolutely
well,
wonderful.
well,
But
free college, that's not a part of it.
I know, I'm just saying it's one of the other things. They all kind of fit into the same
Yeah.
agenda these days in the US. And the bottom line is, it sounds great. I just until somebody can actually show me how it would be paid for, I just I don't think it would fly. I just
We pay it out of our taxes. So we pay more taxes than you do, um, even without the extra taxes, just because in Canada we don't have the population density that you have.
sure.
You've got more people in California by far than what we have in Canada. I think, I'm not sure what we have here. We've only got about 38 million people.
Right.
What's
Go ahead.
in California?
I'm sorry, what
Hell,
you asked a question? I'm sorry.
yeah. What's the population of California?
Oh yeah, right. Like I'm gonna know that. It's a lot. Come on,
Yeah,
Ray.
a lot more than like our 38 million or whatever it is. There might not even be 38.
It's
Um, but because of that, like if you have more people paying for costs, like in a city here, if you've got more people to pay for the cost of the roads, then the individual cost is lower.
true, but nobody
Well,
wants to pay more taxes either here. They want most of the people
yeah,
that support the
but the
Medicare,
thing is, if you're one of the people that are paying for a medical plan,
yes.
then you'll be paying more in taxes, but you won't be paying that medical plan, and overall you'll net more money in your pocket because your increase in taxes won't come anywhere near what your medical plan payments are.
But unfortunately, that's not true for a good percentage of Americans that have assistance at this point. That's not true. They're not paying anything for medical insurance, which
Yeah,
is part of the problem. I'm not saying it's not. And
yeah.
and, and you've got
So what are you going to do if you say get cancer?
well, depends on what Cruz made the comment. It depends on what tax bracket you're in. Seriously, like if you're already on a plan, they're not allowed at this point, I don't believe, to like dismiss you for cancer or raise your rates. So it's about making sure you have it to begin with for sure. But I think the people that really suffer today. I have a son who is 23. He's barely making it. He doesn't have kids, thank goodness. Phew, right? Um, and
I can't believe you got a son that's 23.
I know, right? I'm giving my age away, geez. But but anyhow, he can't get any of the helpful plans because he doesn't have kids and he makes just a little bit too much to get any of them, and so he's stuck with paying for a plan that he can't really afford. So he would, of course, be in favor for everyone's taxes just being raised.
Yeah,
And many of the middle class people in that situation, of course, would be. But I think one of the biggest fears, and correct me if I'm wrong, folks, and again, we can talk Seahorse, just a topic, but it's one that concerns us all for real. And I think that the real biggest fear is that most people who talk about Medicare, Medicaid, etc., insurance or medical care for all, talk about going after the rich to pay for it and think that if the rich pay for it, then everybody will be great. Our taxes wouldn't be raised, blah blah blah. And my whole thing is, if I was a rich person and I'm already doing, my own things to help, whether it be charity or paying high taxes and etc. If you hit me with more taxes, I'd probably leave, you know, or find a way to avoid it.
The rich people here said that at one time too,
And they didn't
but
leave?
the rich people are paying more in taxes, and the middle class are paying more taxes. Anybody that pays taxes is going to pay more in taxes for this plan.
Mm-hmm.
But um, it is true that the rich will pay a higher percentage of an increase than what the others are. But um, that's just a fact of the matter to make things work. The other, like here, the Conservative Party here in Canada, their whole thing, they want to do away with hospitalization and everything. They want two system payer where there's a pay for profit, where doctors can set up their own situation and have patients go there and they'll collect the money from them, and you don't go through the other system.
Why
So
would
that,
that be a bad idea? That sounds perfect.
well, it's not to me because then it'll take the money and the doctors out of the system, so they won't have sufficient to look after the people that
So in other words, I get it. So it has
people
to be all for one or none for all. It can't work. Whereas some people get their
work
personalized
all
care
if
in
they're
their way, where and then the majority, the whole, loses that income. Because of course, if you had specialized care, I get it. If you had specialized care and then a main majority system, the rich people are going to go with the specialized care. And if they
yeah.
didn't have to pay, I get it. But oh, I don't know the answer. Hey,
And then
Salty
because
Reef.
the rich people can pay, then the doctors will get more money and they'll drift out of the
Sure.
government system. They'll go to the private system, and then we don't have any doctors left in the government system.
I'm really curious about one more thing. I wanted to say hello, Salty Reef. Saw the name change. Let me know what's going on with you and your channel and your family and your tanks. And Cruz, Salty guys, if you have anything you want to talk about Reef, please jump in. We're just chatting, like I said, but we can talk serious stuff anytime. Um,
I don't even remember how we got on this now.
Well, it was me. I was talking about the girl. I don't know. One thing, it's Wine Wednesday,
Yeah,
whatever goes. But I mean,
I find it interesting anyway.
as do I. I think it's a really important. I feel like I'm screaming. Sorry, guys. It's a very important topic, and I forgot what I was going to say. You were just saying something, and I was like, yeah.
Oh, you had one more question to ask, you said.
Who was it? Let me
You
see.
had one more question to ask, you
I
said.
know. What did you just say? What did you just say? Hey, hey, Salty Reef, thanks. Thank you so much for helping the channel, even though we're talking Medicare and Medicaid, medical stuff. But still, we love you. Mwah. Hope you're doing well. Please share. But Ray, what did
Once
you?
you've lived with it and realize what benefits there are, and I'm not saying there aren't problems.
Mhm.
There's nothing. I don't think there is a perfect system.
I don't either.
But,
I really don't.
uh,
Oh, I know
like
what I was gonna
looking under
say.
it like this, I wouldn't want to live without it now.
I have one more question for you. I remember what it was. I will
Okay.
tell you this much in that at a time, right, I told you guys that, in my state, we have plans that aren't Medicaid, but they're helpful to, middle class, lower middle class families with kids. And anybody without kids doesn't get to benefit from them. But when I first left my husband years ago and the girls were babies, I literally packed up and left and had nothing and didn't have a job or anything, and had to be on like the actual plans for just a minute. And I noticed, having been a person that worked at, as a loan officer and made six figures and had really good care and etc., going to a person who had no money and had to take, assistance. I'll tell you this much, the care was different. It was definitely different. And I've heard since then from doctors, I've talked to actual doctors who have explained that the reason is that they have such a hard time getting the money from the government. Like the government, they charge, let's say they charge 500 bucks for this procedure. And then they go and they give the procedure to the person, for nothing based on the fact that the plan is going to pay, and then they go to the government who runs all these government run programs, and the government says nope, that's only worth 200 bucks, so here, we're paying you 200 bucks and that's all you get. And so of course the doctor is going to be like, right, I don't want to take people on that plan. Do you run into any of that where the care's different over there, Dre?
It's possible when it was first instituted, but
Hmm.
now like yearly, the rate panel sits there and they go over the rates that are paid to the doctors, and the doctors are in on the board as well as the government people. And that they all get together and they come up with an agreed schedule of payments. It obviously the doctors would love to have more, and they would love to have a private system where they can charge whatever they want, but it
Hmm.
works with the system the way it is. Um, it's I can't say not being a doctor, I can't say just how happy they are, but hell, there's people going through university all the time to be doctors and stay in Canada.
Sure. Okay.
But
Okay.
that being said, there's also doctors that will move to the states where they
They
can
can
get
make
whatever
money.
they want.
Right. Um, Final question is, because I know one other fear that a lot of Americans have is that the second that we go to any kind of socialist, I shouldn't call it socialist. I don't know what else to call it though. Any kind of
But it's
system.
social.
Okay, good. All right. As long as we agree. Any kind of socialist system where it's one for all and the government runs it, their big fear is that, like I said, the government won't do the right thing all the time for anybody, whether it be the doctors or the people, and also that it's like a snowball effect. So my next question is, I don't know much about Canada, but have you seen any other things happen after this was instituted, like oh, I don't know, taking guns away or any of it. Americans are just afraid of losing their rights. Has anything else happened since you went for this type of Medicare system, medical system?
Not that I've seen. I
Okay.
wish they would take the guns away.
Well, that's another topic, but
Yeah. But anyway, that was
yes.
just a side thing. But no, the biggest, I guess, when it first came in, it wasn't designed to handle everything. It was designed to handle expenses that were uh, more abnormal. Like for you to go to the doctor, take your kids to the doctor because they got the flu or something. It wasn't designed to handle that when it first started.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because back in those days, everybody knew what to do. Uh, if you got the flu, you do this, you do that. You don't go to the doctor for it because you know what to do. And it's passed on through the generations. Well, it got to the point where people started asking more and more of the system, and they wanted more and more coverage. Now it's paying for all sorts of things, just about anything now gets covered, but nobody wanted to pay any more money for it.
Right.
That was the only problem. They love to have the system and have it being paid for. They just don't want to pay more in order to get the more.
That's right where we're at here too. And so
Yep.
without asking you anything too personal, is there like a percentage that you guys pay in taxes typically because of the medical system?
It varies province by province, and it depends again on your income. Um, there is a small fee, and I'm trying to think. When I was still working, I was paying maybe $120 a year,
Hmm, that's not
and
bad.
I forget, there's a name for the plan which I don't even remember anymore. But now, um, um, God,
No, it's okay if you don't know.
but
It's
there is a in Ontario we do have a when we file our income tax. There's one section where uh, you fill in what your income is, and if it's above a certain level, then you have to pay a certain percentage, which
sure.
is so small that it's insignificant.
Really? Well, that's very interesting. I'm not sure we could pull it off here, but it's interesting to hear from. I have quite a
I
few.
had my own business and I was doing okay, and for me to be paying 120 or something a year was no skin
Right.
off my.
That's not too bad. Depending on what the actual rate of taxes that would increase here. I mean, I could see it working. I don't know. I don't know. It's so tough on that side. But what we have is definitely broken. So it's like so everything here is so political right now that neither way can win. Like I frankly think that Trump's saying the bad word, folks, but Trump's way, I feel like his way would have worked. Allowing, because I think the real crooked people are the insurance companies. I really, really do, and I think that if they were kept in check through competition, that might have worked. But he wasn't able to get it passed because we have, anyways. I don't know that anything will ever work because we can't get
I
anything
don't
passed.
understand why you can go into, say, $1 trillion into debt and you'll get peanuts in lower taxes, and then the 1% gets most of the money to do with what they want, and supposedly they're supposed to reinvest it, and it turns around, they ended up buying their stock back, making their companies more valuable. How can anybody go for something like that?
Now wait,
To me,
for a
if
second
I
I thought you were talking about the trickle down effect, and if that's the case, I wish Dan was here because he's got some hot theories on that one. But what? Now say that one
I've
more
been
time.
waiting all my life for it to trickle down here in Canada, and every time the Conservatives get in, they keep saying that. And when I do my research now, because I used to vote Conservative till I was in my early 60s,
Okay.
and I got a computer. So I start back on things and finding out, geez, we never ever had any trickle down anytime they were in power. And we actually had better years when the Democrats were in, well, it's not Democrats here, the Liberals.
Hmm.
We actually had better times there. So all of a sudden, I find that I'm no longer conservative.
Really? Well, interestingly enough,
I finally woke up and did a lot of research. I didn't listen to the bullshit coming to politicians because it's politicians' second nature to lie.
I couldn't agree more with that statement, but funny enough, just to let you know, for the record, we're completely open here. You're open to any opinion. And the bottom line is, I steered clear of politics at all costs because I just don't like the topics. And I
Yeah,
won't say anything about how I vote or, how I feel about specific things, but I'll tell you, the more that I've researched on my end, the more that I've seen that some of the big fire things that we see as huge and you know I don't know how to say this without being I've seen more of the conservative point of view. Let's leave it there. I've just
yeah.
seen that the opposite. So that's interesting.
Life experiences, each individual's life experiences will mold them towards a certain thing. But
Sure.
unfortunately, I think a lot of people, and it's uh, like here we have more than two parties.
Sure.
So I think the people in the States are probably like the people here. A lot of people vote a certain way and they don't really know why, or they think they know why, and
Truth.
it's not an educated choice that they're making.
Well, I couldn't agree more, and I'm extremely
And I
disappointed.
did that most of my life and I regret it.
Sure, but it's easy to do, and I really the
Oh,
thing I've said it before, and people don't typically agree with me, but the thing that I'm most disappointed in is our media. I think our media is extremely slanted one way or another, and people choose their station, stick to it, and it's so ridiculously slanted that like whatever side you're on, the other can do no right and does all wrong. And it's like they don't get, and nobody's willing to meet in the middle ever anymore. And oh gosh, there are middle grounds. And I think that both sides have flaws and things that are good and good ideas and ideas that are bad. And I just wish we'd meet in the middle more. I just really do. But anyhow, guys,
well,
go ahead,
let's
Ray.
see if somebody's got a seahorse question. Oh, by
Yes.
the way, on the weekend, I put down that seahorse.
Oh, okay, yes. Really quick
Like,
before I go to the question, tell me about it, Ray.
I was tube feeding it every day, and well, I shouldn't say every day because I'd go on for a while. Then I would go off of it for 2 days to see if she would go on the live brine shrimp or the frozen stuff. And I don't know how long it's been now, but it's been a long time.
Yes,
And
you've
so I decided, I forget now, Saturday or Sunday. One day's about the same as the other now to me. But put some clove oil in a container with the Seahorse, and then when she was motionless, I put it in the freezer. That
sure.
would finish it. So that's
Well, I'm so sorry to hear that, but for anyone who does watch this, I just got to say I agree with your decision because you did everything that you could for that seahorse, and you got. I personally think that if you care this, whether you care extremely a lot about your seahorses or you have different feelings, whatever, it doesn't matter. You have to consider the quality of life that the animal's living. If they can't even eat and they're having to be fed, I just, since I do fall into that, onto the side of the spectrum where I really care about the animals, I just think the quality of life probably wasn't fantastic. And although you were doing everything you could, and there was obviously just something beyond fix, that you could not fix anymore, which makes me so
well,
sad. And I'm sorry.
kept on, but I don't know. Like I'm 77 now, and to keep doing that, it was frustrating, and it's it's obviously more time consuming.
Sure.
And I just got to a point, too much frustration there, and I didn't think that was good for my health.
No.
I just made the decision to finish it off, and so I euthanized her.
Well,
And
again, I'm so sorry to hear it, but I think you did the right thing. I'm impressed at how much you did do to try to save her, um, and I'm just sorry to hear it. But now you can concentrate. And the other thing is when you have a 6 seahorse. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but when you have a 6 seahorse, it just seems to take a toll, as Ray was pointing out, on you and your effectiveness or whatever, and then all of a sudden the rest of the tanks might suffer. It's happened to me. I'm not saying it did to you, but it's happened to me where I was so focused on helping a seahorse get better that maybe I wasn't paying as close of attention or cleaning as well the other tanks. Of course, I had quite a few, so maybe it's different. But all right, so you said we had a seahorse. Well, I'm sorry to hear it, Ray. But I'm glad that she went peacefully and that you are able to move forward. There are just times when you can't fix it, unfortunately. Just like with humans. I mean, you just sometimes you
on
don't
another
know.
note,
What?
um, on another note, last year I built a scrubber for this barb tank.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Back then, I used to have to use the magnets on the glass at least a couple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't even grow algae on the scrubber anymore. And I'm 2 weeks today since I last cleaned the glass. And
Really?
I cleaned the tank. I changed the tank water last Saturday, but it's been 2 weeks today since the change before that when I actually cleaned the glass and everything. And I can still see everything. I can see some algae on the back glass, and there's a little bit of fogging on a few spots there, but nothing that would even induce me to go and clean it now so I can see better because I can see fine.
Hey, Cruz, if Cruz Arias is still watching, he was my mentor in my reef tank and taught me all about algae scrubbers and everything else. But I've never been able to figure this one out, what Ray's talking about. So, Cruz, if you're watching, shout us out an answer of your thoughts, because what he's basically describing sounds like the bacteria population just finally figured it out, caught up. Um,
I think it drew all the nutrient out of the old live rock, and
that's true
they
too.
don't care now that with my feeding system and everything, I'm not putting enough nutrient in to cause a problem again.
Well, but even if you're not causing a problem, it's just interesting to me that the scrubber doesn't grow at all either. That's
Yeah,
so interesting to me.
but around where the lights are, you get tiny little fringes there. When I first did it, well, the first half year at least, every time I clean the tank, I'm pulling out handfuls of this stuff and scraping it off and starting over, and then 2 days later, it'd be all loaded up again.
Well, I could see you being right that it just pulled all the phosphate and et cetera, nutrients out of the rock. And so now you're at some even keel. But with how you feed seahorses, you feed 4 times a day.
Yeah,
It's interesting to me that what's taking it up. It's got to be bacteria. It's just got to be. If the algae's not doing and
but we like
Cruz, if you're
feeding.
watching, he doesn't add bottle bacteria, do you, Ray? You don't
I
use
don't
it.
I don't add the amount of food that most people do.
Hmm.
I figure I feed them what they can eat in 10, 15 minutes at the most.
Okay. So you
First of
just feed
all,
more but
my
less.
thought is that if they are eating longer than that time, any food that they're eating is going through and it's just going to push out food that they already have in there before it's getting anything processed. When the process is already uh, not ideal, like they can't draw the nutrient out they should because they have such a bad digestive tract.
Right.
So if you're eating more than what your digestive tract can handle, then you're just pushing it through faster and they're not getting the benefit of it anyway. And it
Sure.
also then means that you have more waste going into the tank that has more nutrient in it that is going to cause problems.
You're not
And
wrong. I've had it. I've seen that personally with Fry, where I fed too much live baby Artemia, and they would literally poop live, still squiggling Artemia.
yeah,
And-
well, I don't think with the adults, you're not going to see them pushing it out like that.
sure.
But still, the fact is, it's going to get pushed through the digestive tract. And so maybe it ends up at the end of the digestive tract faster than it should.
Hmm.
So it's not being processed enough. And at the end of the tract, it's not going to be treated the same as what it is if it goes through at a regular uh, rate, like it would happen in nature. In nature, they're going to get a little bit here and there. They're not going to have it all coming all at once.
Right, but even if your feeding schedule is feeding them exactly what they need, I get your point, and your point is there's no leftovers and there's no food that's getting pushed out undigested and etc. But they still poop. They're still pooping the same amount, whether it's
Well,
digested
not
or
pooping the same amount.
undigested. Huh. Oh,
They're
it's not
not pooping the same amount because they're not getting their tract filled.
okay. It
Their
just
the tract is only being partially filled, so it's sitting in there and allowed to be processed further.
Sure, I get it. I just feel like, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why I'm gonna go check comments. But it's interesting to me. Maybe you've found the perfect model. Maybe you have. Really, I just consider it still.
They
There's
just got lucky.
still releasing it. Where's it going?
Yeah.
Unless you have such an even keel system, it's just so established, so aligned perfectly. Don't mess anything up. That's all I got to say. Because I had my reef tank in that situation. I literally had it so aligned, thanks to Cruz's help, that I never did water changes. And this wasn't a seahorse tank, folks. It was a reef tank. I did have to dose certain supplements, but I never did water changes. The refugium took care of anything I needed to do. I had to change the miracle mud and clean out the refugium like once a year, and that was it. It was that simple. I did find a way to mess it up eventually. But if you've got it to that even keel, Ray, where it's just working, man, don't screw it up.
I wasn't even trying to do this. It just happened.
Well, hey, good for you. All right, really quick, I'm gonna go to comments, and
Harkins Aquatics is saying check iron levels or molybdenum.
okay.
Is that referring to the scrubber situation or what? I'm not sure what he's referring to there.
My guess, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is typically when I'm trying to grow algae, I would dose iron. Sorry, would dose iron. But I mean, Ray's goal isn't really to grow algae. It's just interesting that it's not growing based on the nutrients in the tank, and he's not getting it in the tank. So it's not like I don't know.
I thought
You could be
macro in the
right.
tank grows really well.
What was it?
I have macro in the tank that grows really well.
See, to me, I just feel like the macro's taking it up. Whatever you've done has gotten on
The
such an
macro was
even
in the
keel
tank before
system.
when I had the problems.
What?
The macro was in the tank before.
I know, but as you said, you probably, with the algae scrubber, you probably soaked everything out of the rocks. Now the rocks are like basically just filled with, just good bacteria, just nitrate or nitrite, y'all know what I'm saying. It's just
Yeah.
doing what it's supposed to do. And instead of leaching anything, it's just doing what it's supposed to do. And your feeding schedule means that literally the poop and anything that flies off the food is feeding the macros, and you just have it so perfected. Seems like to me that it's feeding the macros enough to grow, and they're taking it up, whereas the scrubber is kind of left bare, which is a good thing. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but talk to me more. I'll go back to the old questions in a second, but
Yeah. Well, he posted again, yes, those are things algae consume with respect to the iron and the moly. But the thing is, I never test anything in my aquariums other than specific gravity, have a thermometer for temperature. Um, when I'm setting up a tank, I check for ammonia. Other than that, I don't have, never have had test kits for stuff like iron and molybdenum.
sure.
Say,
Well, it is a little different in a seahorse tank. That's why I always be clear when I start talking that stuff.
my reefing tanks for decades that I had, I still never did any testing like that.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it Rob that's talking? I think. Well, I'd have to go look, but yeah. So I'm curious. Do you think that this is because I mean, okay, let me put this in a different way. When you are talking about water changes and keeping that kind of system, is it more important when someone's not doing water changes instead or in addition? Because I just feel like someone
I
that
mean,
does water changes faithfully probably wouldn't have to dose. Most reefers kind of aim for less work these days. At least I did. And so to me, I had to test to make sure that things were staying on the right level because I wasn't doing the water changes. And even people who do water changes, they don't start to test typically until they have a problem. You know what I mean? So,
okay, I went through a stage where I didn't do changes for about 7 or 8 years.
yeah.
This is on all my reef tanks. Well,
Okay.
one reef tank in particular, and then at that point, I lost a fish, and I can't remember. I think it was one of my tangs, and I put another tang in, and I lost it. And I tried again. I kept on losing fish that I put in.
Right.
So then I transferred a fish from another tank that I had. That and this tank didn't have those years of running with no changes. And I put it into that tank. It died too.
Hmm.
So I finally came to realize that over time there are changes happening in that water. And while you say you're going to correct for some of the elements that are used up, you're going to make additions for it. I started realizing that there were all sorts of things going in that water that were their levels were being boosted not because they were
You're
being
saying,
used
I
up,
know what you're
because
saying, Ray. You're talking
they
about like
weren't being
trace.
used up, and then the decayed product was adding more of it to the tank.
Sure.
And because it wasn't something that was a necessary thing, we weren't testing for it. And the
Sure.
thing that brought it to my mind was on Randy Holmes Farley's reef chemistry thing at the time. They were talking about um, they were doing some water sampling
Hmm.
on reef tanks at the time, and they found that there was all sorts of stuff that the levels were really high.
Sure.
And it turned out that the majority of those tanks with the highest levels in there weren't doing water changes.
Sure. And I understand that. In my case personally, and girls, no, 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 no. In my
So the
sorry,
fish that were in
child.
my tank, though, they
Hi.
grew along with it and became accustomed to it. But then when I put another fish into it that wasn't used to that same
Environment,
water
right.
condition, they couldn't
Hang.
tolerate that fast change.
Right. No, you're not wrong, Ray. It's just that in my system, I don't go through the whole setup and system when I talk about this. But another thing that crews really, really hammered into my brain and taught me that I neglect to mention very often is the miracle mud. What you're talking about is someone who has a reef tank and is just dosing supplements and testing for supplements. We can't know all the chemistry changes that happen in the water. You're right. And I mean, still can't. But when you use miracle mud in a refugium, that miracle mud is constantly releasing those trace and elements and et cetera that we can't test for and that we don't know how to compensate for. It's doing it for you, and that's why you have to replace it once or twice a year, is because it does run out just like everything else does run out. Oh shoot, oh shoot. Okay guys, I'm so sorry. The
Anyway, I'm
Ray,
gonna
Ray,
mute
I'm
you
gonna let you
because I'm
talk.
gonna go
Ray,
feed the
Ray,
seahorse.
Ray. I'm gonna let you talk for
Yep.
1 second because I gotta plug in the battery or it's gonna die on us. I'll be right back. Talk.
Uh, I don't have experience at this. Well, I see arsenic would be a common addition in RO from a while ago. I don't understand that. Nobody live here to talk about. I'll wait for Harkins to put up another post.
Sorry, folks. All right, I'm sorry.
You're live. Well, you're live, and I'm gonna mute and go feed the seahorses, and then I'll be back.
Sounds good. No problem. We'll just go for a little bit longer. And let's see. I'm gonna go ahead, guys, and go through. I don't know what Ray said, but again, my answer was Miracle Mud because it was able to distribute those things. And that's the only way I think I got away with doing a no water change reef tank. And I had to do huge water changes before I set up the system. So whatever works for you. I'm curious to hear what works for you. What do you guys think? But I'm going to go through what everyone else has said as we sat here and talked about whatever. Thanks, guys, for coming and hanging with us. All right, so we talked a lot about insurance. But you guys, it's a serious topic, man. I mean, come on. And Rob's Aquarium is now, which is Salty Reef, right? Sorry. Salty Reef is going to get his videos going soon. So as soon as he does, we're all going to head on over to his channel because we love him. And I hope you're doing well. Harkins Aquatics jumped in here. Cruz apparently left and didn't answer any of our questions. But we love him anyways. And let's see. I'm not going to read all you guys' personal stuff about your family, but I hear you. And Harkins, you said your daughter had kidney stones and had to have surgery plus 7 days in the hospital. I'm curious if you felt that I see how much it was and etc. But I'm curious if you felt the care was good, if the wait time was good, and if it had anything to do with your current coverage. Just curious. And you have had to deal with sick fish all the time, right? And how you sometimes don't take care of other things when you've got that sick fish because it kind of monopolizes your attention. Sure. All right. And yeah, and you were giving some fantastic suggestions for growing the algae better. But in his case, I don't think that's his goal. I don't think he wants to grow the algae. He added the scrubber on because he was tired of cleaning the glass, and he kept getting algae on the glass, and he kept getting nuisance algae on his macros. And so he added the scrubber upon, I think, all of our suggestion to get rid of that. And it worked. And I think he's right. I really do. Because in my reef tank, I had a rock that just, no matter what I did, it grew algae. No matter what I did, I figured out eventually that it was releasing phosphate. Had been stored up in there or whatever. I'm not a chemist here, but bottom line is, I think he was able to do enough that it cleared the rock or whatever. There's good things and bad things about getting live rock. um, so leave it with that. But all right, and We'll ask him how the seahorses are doing when he gets back. And I don't know what you guys are talking about, our own machines. But,
I'm back.
anyways, all right. Oh, shoot, I hit the wrong button. Sorry if this slows it down, guys. All right. Ray, how are the rest of the seahorses, just out of curiosity?
Oh, they're fine.
Nothing new?
No,
Okay. Do you have, aside from macros, do you have any gorgonians in your aquariums, your seahorse aquariums?
who, me?
Yeah, you.
No, no gourds. All I got, I forget what you told me what kind of
I forget.
mackerel it was. I forget.
I forget too. But yeah, just have algae
I
macros.
have Kenya or Kenya. I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
It's massive, and I have a leather coral. Um, I guess a leather hand coral, and that one doesn't do as well as the Kenya, but
Interesting.
they're still growing. The Kenya is the fastest one growing.
Hmm.
Uh, but the leather, it's frustrating because of the times where it's all out nice, and then the next day you look at it, it's all shrunk up again and starting to shred or shed.
Those things are
Uh,
so picky, I swear. All those leather corals are they look like they're dying and then they're fine.
yeah,
But
but
well,
the mackerel, I have to keep cutting it off and throwing it away.
well, quit throwing it away. I know many people who want it. Crazy.
Well, see, I can't ship anywhere here.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. That just stinks. And wait, now why is that? Why can't you ship?
Well, first of all, um, there's FedEx and the couriers like that. In order to ship anything that has liquid, uh, you have to have an account with them, and to get an account with them, you have to first of all um, test your packaging. They have to be able to test your packaging,
Mm-hmm.
and um, you have a certain minimum you have to guarantee every month that they're going to get um, business with you. And as an individual hobbyist, even when I was selling the seahorses, I couldn't maintain that level. So I had one of the stores here. Um, he had an online store, and so we would sell stuff through his website. And even if it was something that I sold direct here, I would take it to him, and I would have it all ready, packed and everything, and then he would ship it under his account with whatever courier he was using at the time.
Sure.
So we got around it that way. Well, he's folded up the business now, so I don't have any way to ship anything.
Gotcha. Okay, I thought maybe it was something like, not legal or whatever.
Well, it's not. I can't ship anything to the states uh, like that without special permits,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't like when we get live rock shipped up here. Uh, the rock has to come in without anything on it. Any corals or anything live that's on that rock has to be stripped off before it can be shipped here.
Hmm. Wow. There there are reasons for the rules, but sometimes I don't understand or
Yeah,
don't
I'm not
agree.
sure I understand it either, but
Yeah. But anyways, okay, well, let's check and see. Was there anything else? I wasn't gonna do a long one tonight. Like I said, guys, it's birthday week, so we'll get back to hot topics on seahorses and reef tanks next week. But I did want to show up and say hey to everybody and goodbye to Salty Reef. Go take care of that beautiful baby. And Harkins, we need to get you back in here as a guest soon. Talk about what you're up to. Ray, did you have anything else you wanted to share or ask or talk about or anything?
no, I think that's about it. I kind of got off topic at the start there. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but
No,
sometimes I don't know how I do things, and I'm sitting there afterwards and I never can figure it out.
you know what? It was my fault. I was the one that brought it up. I appreciate you chit chatting with me. And, I think seriously that that's something that many people like to hear the different sides of the opinion, and have their own opinions. And I don't think this was. I'm very grateful for you to come and for you having come and discussed it with me, because although it wasn't seahorse related, it's an important topic. So no worries there. But we'll focus more on seahorses next week. But I will bid you adieu and say Happy Wine Wednesday, and pick it up next
Well,
week.
happy birthday to the girls too, eh?
I will tell them it's tomorrow. I will tell them for sure, and then you'll have to tell me secrets to keep them reined in. I guess.
You're a month late though. Last month was birthday month.
What was it
Last month was birthday month.
for your end?
Yeah, for me and
Oh, that's right.
my son and a niece and so on, and a few others. Um, so now the next we've got coming with a great number of birthdays is December. So, but
You got a ways.
February's still the best.
Gotcha. Well, happy belated to you. And yeah, guys, we need to start talking about the upcoming events coming up. Tell me what events you're doing, whether it be Reefapalooza, Macna, or what. I'm going to have to start sharing some things that we're planning for this Macna this year. So definitely lots of things we'll talk about next week. But thank you to everybody who joined this week. And hopefully you enjoyed the convo, and any comments you have, feel free in the comment section. Otherwise, we'll be back next week with some seahorse chat. All right, Ray, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right, happy Wine Wednesday, y'all. Cheers.